first. And as we turn around, direct your attention to the right-hand side. Older building, very intricate facade. That's the London Guarantee building. It was completed 1923, designed by Alfred Alschuler. 20 to the Great Chicago Fire. Lake Michigan, believe it or not, used to go right up to where the DuSable Bridge stands to this day. Icon of Chicago on the left, and I'm not talking about our new Apple store. It's the building behind it. Tribune Tower, completed in 1925, designed by Hood and Howe's neo-Gothic style of architecture. Check out the flying buttresses towards the top of the building. Really harkens back to European cathedrals. That skyscraper right there was part of a 1922 competition to design the world's most beautiful office building. Over 200 entries were submitted. That's the design right there that won. For decades, architect, principal architect G. Gang, at 859 feet tall. That is currently the tallest building in the world, completed building in the world. Design features obviously is balconies, and these balconies actually don't protrude at the exact same length. No two extend at the exact same length, allowing anyone who buys a unit there an unobstructed view from a balcony. That is also in 2009, Aqua won the Emporia Skyscraper Award for Best New Residential Building. Tallest completed building in the world, designed by a female architect. Pretty cool. Notice the design of the building. It's 4 towers tapering off at different heights. You got 1, 2, 3, 4. The 83rd floor of this building features a dominating Lake Michigan, but we ran into another one almost immediately. We are now draining the lake. You can't do that. Michigan, Wisconsin, Indiana River is one of the reasons why it's such a busy lock. Number 2, and more importantly, it controls the amount of fresh water.
Ayan, malapit ka na.
Alright folks, I'm back. On the left-hand side, that older building with the dome top, that's the Adler Planetarium. It was completed in 1930, designed by Alfred Grunsfeld. The older portion of the building had 12 sides to represent the 12 signs of the zodiac. The all-glass edition there, portion more modern. Fun fact about the Adler Planetarium, that's the nation's first planetarium, very first one in the United States. To the right, it was one of the largest collections of Native American artifacts in the United States. My favorite stat about the pad finally was sealed over, and various architecture firms started proposing buildings to go right there. Skidmore, Owings & Merrill, they offered up a proposal. They put 2 buildings right there, one about 1,100 feet tall, the other about 750 feet tall. These 2 buildings are actually completed. Riverview 1 and 2, completed in 2004, designed by DeStefano. All residential, townhomes at the base, condominiums towards the top. We saw Buckingham Fountain earlier in the tour. This is probably our second most famous fountain here in Chicago to the right. Centennial Fountain, completed in 1989, designed by Dirk Lohan, the grandson of Mies van der Rohe. That triangular portion of the tour shoots a 90-foot stream of water across the Chicago River, designed so vessels could go underneath it. Here's the problem with that. As we all know, gravity exists. So if you try to go underneath that stream of water, you'll be saturated. It's actually not light misting. None of the tour boat companies will take their boats underneath that stream of water. This is the fourth largest hotel in the city of Chicago to the right in terms of the number of rooms it has. It's the Grand Sheraton Hotel, completed in 1992, designed by Solomon, Cordwell, and Benz. Fourth floor of the building features a 40,000 square foot ballroom, about the size of an American football field, can accommodate well over 1,000 people with ease. Notice the greenish blue glass. Why? Well, it pays homage to the color of our Chicago River. Why? Combination between the lake water, the clay at the bottom of the river, and the algae that's in the river. It's that combination that gives our river its distinctive bluish green color. That building further into the city with a yellow gold dome top, Intercontinental Hotel and Tower, completed in 1929, designed by Walter Oschlager, 45 stories tall, Egyptian and Assyrian carvings on the facade. The shorter building, also on the right, that's the Gleacher Center. It's a downtown campus for the University of Chicago, main campus for the University of Chicago, south side of the city, Hyde Park. Has had over 90 Nobel Prize winners graduate from the University of Chicago, most of them in the field of economics. As we head west on the main branch, I'm going to be focusing on buildings on the right-hand side of the vessel. We'll talk about the buildings on the left when we come back to the dock. There's a brand new Apple store designed by Pritzker Prize winning British architect Sir Norman Foster. Winning the Pritzker Prize in architecture is the profession's highest award. It always amazes me how Chicago is able to attract so many Pritzker Prize winning architects to add to our skyline and architectural community. Here's an icon in Chicago on the right. The Wrigley Building, completed in 1924, designed by Graham Anderson, Brooks and White, Beaux-Arts style of architecture. The exterior units, 473 of them, including a 14,000 square foot penthouse, which sold for $17 million. That was raw space. Cost an extra $10 million to furnish the unit. So for $27 million, you really get unparalleled views of downtown Chicago. Older building next on our tour is a big black rectangle. That's AMA Glass, 52 stories tall. Great example of the international style of architecture, and an even better example of Mises' personal philosophy in architecture. Less is more. The only non-functional element on the facade of that building, the vertical I-beams directing your eyes upward. When these two identical 60-story towers were completed, they not only were the tallest reinforced concrete skyscrapers in the United States, but also for exactly 1 year, the tallest all residential buildings in the world. Bertrand Goldberg, well, I mentioned how he didn't subscribe to Mies van der Rohe's less is more style of architecture. On the left, that big barge there, that's the fireworks barge. That's where they'll shoot off the fireworks tonight from that barge. Kind of a cool view here. Should be symbiotic. Therefore, you can analyze those two buildings almost like a tree. The reinforced concrete core, that's the trunk. The rooms extending outward, those are the branches, and the cantilever balconies allowing for maximum light to enter the pie-shaped rooms. Those right there are the leaves. Kind of cool. This building on the right is the American Bar Association building, 1987. Bruce Graham designed it. Folks remember Bruce Graham. You're going to hear his name a lot. Heard a lot out on the lake as well. Principal architect of both the brick exterior, the second oldest building we'll actually see on our tour today. The Reed Murdoch Center is completed in 1914, designed by George Nimmons, who actually is a member of the Prairie Style School of Architecture. 8-story masonry exterior construction with some terracotta ornamentation towards the top. Folks, this is what a traditional Chicago warehouse used to look like. If you were traveled back in time, come to the city of Chicago about 100 years ago, buildings just like this would line either side of the river. You'll notice, if you look closely, the building's no longer perfectly symmetrical. One of the bays on this River Road side of the building was removed due to the expansion of this bridge right here, LaSalle Street Bridge, and you count it out. 300 Norfolk Sale, completed in 2009, designed by Picard and Chilton, 60 stories tall, all about the environment. LEED certified platinum. LEED stands for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. This building actually features a green roof, meaning there's actual vegetation growing on top of this building. Even more impressively, this skyscraper is cooled via the Chicago River water. The river water is sucked into the building, run throughout the skyscraper, and then shot back out into the Chicago River. Only 2 buildings in the city do this. because when the water, after it's run throughout the building, returns to the river, it comes back a few degrees warmer. Building here on the right, that's the Merchandise Mart. It was completed in 1931, designed by Graham Anderson folks from my Art Deco style of architecture. 3 characteristics of Art Deco architecture. Number 1, vertical lines directing your eyes upward. Number 2, various setbacks further embracing the height of the building. And number 3, geometric or floral ornamentation at 4.25 million square feet. When this building was completed, largest building in the United States in terms of square footage, eventually surpassed by the Pentagon in Arlington, Virginia. Inside you will find 8 miles of corridor, 500 showrooms, and a 5-acre footprint. The Kennedy family actually purchased this building in 1945 for $13 million. They sold the building pretty cool. Now notice, on the right you're going to see Wolf Point. This is an area of early settlement for Europeans, historic part of the city of Chicago. 3 new skyscrapers are going to go right here. One of them is the West Tower. It's already completed, 525 feet tall, 500 residential units. The East Tower, that's the one literally under construction. They'll be even taller, about 700 feet tall. And then of course the South Tower, they even started that one. It'll be the tallest of the trio, about 900 feet tall. This is a new building that's actually completed. River Point 2017, designed by Picard and Chilton. 45 stories tall, sits on a 1.5 acre public park. Morton Salt and a law firm, they are the main tenants of that building. When we pass under the Lake Street Bridge, we're going to get one of my favorite views of a new building. Chicago designed it. The tower is 53 stories tall, but the base is only 40 feet wide. How does the building stand up? 2 reasons. Number 1, internally, the skyscraper is supported by 16 10-foot caissons encased in the bedrock. Number 2, the top of this building features a mass damper system manifested in the form of a 180,000-gallon tank of water. Here's how this works. Let's say the wind is coming out of the west, pushing the building towards the east. The mass damper system, Boeing's corporate headquarters here in Chicago, was completed in 1990, designed by Ralph Johnson of Perkins & Will. 36 stories tall. It's heavily influenced by the Dutch Distill style of architecture. You got the Boeing store in the building in case you want to buy a 747. My favorite part about Boeing's headquarters is something you can't see right now, although you will be able to see it.
If you want to buy a 747.
Notice a series of trusses on the southwest corner of this building. They actually suspend the southwest corner above the ground. It's hard to see from the river. When you walk along Washington Boulevard, you can actually see that southwest corner is suspended above the ground. Older but historic building next on the right. This is 2 North Riverside Plaza. That's the name. It was completed in 1929, Halliburton Art Deco style of architecture. The reason I say it's historic is because it was the first building in the city of Chicago built over the railroad tracks. The next 3 buildings I'll be talking about, all on the right, all part of one center, the Gateway Center. We're going to start with Gateway 1 and 2. They're 2 identical 22-story steel and glass buildings designed in that international Chicago. When we were back on the lake, you heard a lot about 2 of our more famous parks, Grant Park and Millennium Park. This is not one of our more famous parks. It's Quincy Park, named after John Quincy Adams, 6th President of the United States. Why do I point out this embarrassment? Well, the boat's going to make a turn, and when it does, you can look through the park and see all the way up to the top of what was, for 24 years, the world's tallest building. That is the Willis Tower, former Sears Tower. Many Chicagoans will still adamantly call it the Sears Tower. Who's here from Chicago? I want to see some hands. Let's see, anyone here from Chicago? Anyone at all? Okay, what's it called? That's right. I'm right there with both of you, but here's the deal, and I'm not joking about this. I'm actually contractually obligated to call it the Willis Tower, so that's what's got to happen. The Willis Tower was completed in 1974, designed by Skidmore, Owings & Merrill, Bruce Graham, principal architect, chief engineer, the brilliant Dr. Fowler Kahn. The building stands at 1,454 feet tall, 110 stories, 4.5 million square feet. I got some more facts that it does because it utilizes a structural engineering method known as bundle tubular construction. Here's how it works. You can basically analyze the Willis Tower as 9 interconnected boxes laid out in a 3x3 box grid. These boxes then taper off at different heights. 2 at the 50th floor, 2 more at the 66th, 3 at the 90th, and 2 coming outside. It's a tourist attraction here in Chicago. Here's how it works. You go up to the 103rd floor of the building, you step out on an all-glass box and look down and all around. I've done it twice. First time it lasts about 10 seconds. Second time about 15, so I'm getting better. The Scared of Heights, it really is an adrenaline rush. The ceiling on these glass boxes cracked about 3 weeks ago. I cannot imagine being in one of those boxes when that ceiling cracked. Apparently, they're designed to do that. Yeah, right. You got the Civic Opera Building. It's kind of an icon in Chicago. Completed in 1929. Graham, Anderson, Probst, and White. Filmed in Chicago's Lyric Opera inside. You got a 10-story stage, 3,800-seat auditorium. The architecture of this building is rather interesting. Notice on the facade you'll see massive comedy and tragedy, as well as the word building spelled with a V, not a typo, harkens back to ancient Rome and Greece. Mention of the architecture, style of architecture, is one of my, I'm really looking forward to when this building is completed. It's the Bank of America Tower. When it's done, it'll be 53 stories tall, feature a 1-acre public park. Dixon Partners, they're designing this thing. In case anyone forgot, they also designed 150 North Riverside, that building with the massive V at the base. These buildings will be the exact same number of stories at 53. The real reason I like that building so much is because that used to be the home of my least favorite. Oldest building on the tour to the right, red brick exterior with the ivy growing on it. That's the Great Lakes building. It was completed in 1912. The building itself, not that important, but a very historic spot here in Chicago. Because right here in 1860, the Republican National Convention was held in the city of Chicago, of all places. Abraham Lincoln right here won the nomination, the Republican nomination, to become the Republican nominee for president of the United States. Historic spot indeed. Illinois' estate is really associated with 4 presidents. Obviously, Abe Lincoln is the former 18th president of the United States. Had a home up in Galena as well. Where that guy is waving at everyone here, that is the start or end of our Riverwalk, depending on where you get on. Behind the Riverwalk is kind of a modern-day icon, if you will, here in Chicago. Very popular building, 333 West Wacker Drive, completed in 1983. Designed by the prolific New York architecture firm, Cohn, Pedersen, Fox. Notice the massive 365-foot curve mirrors the curve of the river. This is known as contextualism in architecture. What that means is that the design of the building mimics or mirrors its natural environment, curve in the river, curve in the building. Check out the alternating rows of dark green glass and then a lighter shade green of glass. That motif of alteration is carried down to the base of the building when you have alternating rows of dark green polished marble as well as gray granite. If anyone has seen the movie Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Ferris's dad's office is actually in this building. 225 West Wacker Drive, 1989, also Cohn, Pedersen, Fox. I will say this, very odd for the same architecture firm in the same city to have 2 buildings that they designed right next to each other. Skidmore, Owings, and Merrill, they also bear that distinction in the city of Chicago. You saw at the Gateway Center, and Cohn, Pedersen, Fox with 333 and then 225. The 225 is all about bridges. Notice the form of a miniature bridge at the top of the building. I always thought that was pretty cool. Here's a somewhat interesting building, Rose and White. The more modern addition that resembles the older portion, that's 1986, Skidmore, Owings, and Merrill. Notice the older portion of the building towards the top, 3-story colonnade with ionic columns, 3 classical columns in Western architecture. Number 1, Doric columns, they're squared off the top. Number 2, Ionic columns, those are the ones right up there, they look like ram's horns. And number 3, Corinthian, you saw those in the London Guarantee building. Right, my favorite Art Deco building. It's the LaSalle Wacker building. It looks like a giant armchair, which is kind of why I like it. It's 1939 Halliburton Wood. The taller glass facade building is much newer, obviously. That's 2014, 60 stories tall. Notice that scar on the facade of the structure. That's known as a reveal, and it actually adds balcony and green space to the skyscraper. If you folks are a fan of postmodern architecture, this is a piece in 92 designed by Ricardo Bofill. At the top, you'll find the form of a Greek pediment. Towards the bottom, the form of a Roman triumphal arch. That's what postmodernism is all about in the United States, folks, the combining of traditional Western forms of architecture with more modern building techniques and material. Postmodernism really popular in the United States about the mid-70s to early 1990s. 35 West Wacker Drive, completed in 1989, designed by Kevin Roach and John Dinkaloo. 50 stories tall, gray granite exterior. Those silver columns on the window, those are known as mullions. It actually draws sunlight in to the rather dark building. So, I mentioned how Zilberman Advertising building. Zilberman Advertising is a really famous advertising firm, not just in Chicago, but the United States as well. Helped create such memorable pop culture characters like Ron McDonald, Tony the Tiger, Blackstone exterior. That's the St. Jane Hotel, 1929. The Burnham brothers designed it. It's literally meant to resemble a champagne bottle popping. It was a symbolic demonstration against the prohibition at the time in the United States. Pretty cool building. The last building we're going to be talking about is the skinniest skyscraper we will see on our tour today. It's on the right-hand side. There it is. Campus and Associated. Mather Tower, completed in 1929, designed by Riddle and Riddle. The floors of the top portion of the building, 9 feet, 6 inches across. Really narrow building. It's supposed to be one of two, but again, how economics plays a role. Didn't have enough money in 1929 to finance the construction of a second tower. As we make our way to the dock, I got 2 really important things to say. When we dock, there could be a slight bump, so if you're sitting down, that's good. If you're standing, either sit down or just be aware that a bump could occur. Number 2, and more importantly, we can't let you take any alcoholic beverages off the vessel, so you can either
What?
Preocupate que se hubiera caído allá.
But before we go to Uncle Mac, so I would never hang out with them.
Here's another one. If I had the money, I would buy stuff here, but they're all over the place.
Or you can just go to IKEA.
Yes.
You get it.
Yes.
IKEA's the bomb.
Hello? Are you taking a video?
Everyone stay
You're
still.
gonna hit.
Everyone stay still. Right, he tells you to close. Sure.